those who are online can contemplate the words and the meanings. It's a prayer by Chaitanya, translated by Swami Prabhavananda and Krishna Vaishyavad. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, chanting his name continually, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, and each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than the blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet, let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. Om, peace, peace, peace. Vedanta, its practicality. Vedanta, the word comes from Veda, that's knowledge, supersensuous knowledge or transcendental knowledge. That is the meaning of Veda. And Anta is the culmination. It culminates in liberation. The knowledge that liberates. That's the meaning of Vedanta. Technically also, it covers the entire body of literature called the Upanishads, or the end portion of the Vedas. And so, over the years, we've had various philosophers trying to tease out the meanings from these various, you can say, mantras and form a coherent philosophy. One of the last ones to do it and put it on a firm basis was Shankaracharya. But that was not the end. Vedanta was always challenged. And it challenged other philosophies also and kept on fine-tuning its, you can say, philosophical, you can say, points. They couldn't change the fundamentals. Those were sacrosanct. You couldn't touch that. But philosophers came and adapted those fundamental truths to changing times. So we had the first one to make Vedanta practical was Buddha. And then we had Shankaracharya and whole host of great philosophers. Now, these were not philosophers in the common sense of speaking about them as maybe professors in the university itself. These were saints of the highest order. In time, there were 10 schools of Vedanta. Yes. But broadly speaking, there are, you can say, can be classified into three: the dualistic, the qualified non-dualistic, and the pure non-dualistic schools. We are going to look at the purely non-dualistic schools. And people might say, oh, that is so transcendent, it has no practical value. No, it has a practical value, and we try to highlight some of the practical aspects of this philosophy. Why is this Vedanta now so necessary? Because individual and social problems are becoming intense. And you need a comparable philosophy that can counter this kind of chronic stress and tension and depression and anxiety, and people are kind of fragmenting. So you need philosophy like Vedanta, which speaks about divinity of all beings. Is this something new that Vedanta is trying to do it? In India, we've been trying to do it for 4,000 years. The reason is it's better to base society on the divinity of every being than to base it on wealth or GDP or power or status or military might or whatever. And we've seen the consequences. So this was, Swami Vivekananda said, is this the time? Yes, this is the time for Vedanta to be the future religion. And amazingly, he spoke about this in Oakland, California, in 1900. He's very clear. He says, my ideal indeed can be put into a few words, and that is to preach unto humankind its divinity and how to make it manifest in every movement of life. This was his idea of Vedanta coming down to practical levels. There was a time when Vedanta, and in some traditional circles is still there, that you've got to be first competent to even study Vedanta. And they had a cumbersome, tough language to master, the Sanskrit. And then after that, you come down to the philosophy. And the philosophy, yeah, it took 12 years. To learn Sanskrit, it took about 12 years, 24 years. And then when do you start practicing it? In this age, Swami Vivekananda has, as I say, cut open the doors to the heaven of Vedanta. Say, everyone is eligible, because everyone is that embodied divinity. And we are speaking about that divinity. You don't need to go through this kind of huge, you can say, studies and then try to understand the finer points of Vedanta. This is how Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother and Swamiji came and made this accessible to everybody. Whether you're in bondage, you're freedom, you're miserable, you're happy, you're sad, whatever you are eligible to it. There has been constant battle between science and religion. And we've seen this, sometimes one dominates, the other kind goes down, then the other kind of dominates. This has divided societies. It's still divided, of course, but it has given rise to fanaticism, etc. Today, Vedanta speaks about there is no necessity of this quarrel. Why should science and religion even quarrel? Swami Vivekananda says, science is a search for truth in the external world. Religion is a search for truth in the internal world. And in reality, there is no external or internal in the universe. Both will come and join. And the more Vedanta is bolstered by the findings of science, the better it becomes. And it is an open challenge, Vedanta said. This is what it is. Now see what, if you can find any flaw in it. Till today, there has been no flaw in his conclusions. Today, humankind is equipped with vast knowledge, and this has also thrown up huge possibilities. It also comes with responsibilities. We are tinkering with genes, with materials, with everything. We are not just, you can say, spectators now in this massive evolution scheme, but we are participants. We are tailoring and retailoring, designing, redesigning the external world, and including us. So this knowledge has come from a cumulative effect of every person who has contributed his or her knowledge to the vast store of human knowledge today, which is at our fingertips. So this responsibility now has come, and with a price. We are now responsible for other beings, the environment, for peace. So it's just that knowledge has to have that kind of responsibility. And are people aware of this responsibility? Generally, no. Vedanta will make you feel that responsibility to everything around you. Consciousness is now, they say, the final frontier. For Vedanta, it was just the beginning, the first step. And every branch of science or psychology or anything is trying to study consciousness, amazingly. Even physicists, they are coming down to something like, what's consciousness? Psychology, neurology, everything. What is this consciousness? It has baffled all science. But yes, the hard problems and soft problems of consciousness, yes, they are meaningful. They are pushing the barriers of common understanding. But Vedanta takes a stand here on consciousness, and that is its validity. We, as I mentioned, you need to study a whole host of books and commentaries on Vedanta to be a Vedantist. Swami Vivekananda says, yeah, it may help, but Vedanta is not external to you. It is speaking about yourself. It's not a philosophy outside. It is talking about you, how to manifest or unravel your own consciousness. And this is what is important to understand. People read a few books on Vedanta and saying, I have read Vedanta, I have understood Vedanta. Well, their own self is just misunderstood or in the dark. So Vedanta is nothing but the science of your own soul. Whether it's practical? Oh yes, it was practical first and then philosophical next. And that's because Swami Vivekananda says that all these philosophies were realizations first. They were realized and then encapsulated in human language. That was all. So when we come down to even the Bhagavad Gita, see, it's being spoken on the battlefield, the most unlikely place that you could ever get to teach Vedanta, where the din of war and the fear and all the noise, and he's preaching Vedanta there. So besides, in the Upanishad itself, you find great emperors and kings who were great teachers of Vedanta. And not only that, they authentic traditional sages used to come to them to learn. And in those days, absolute monarchy was, it was a very busy time for every one of those kings. So they still had the time to think and practice those thoughts. Compared to them, our lives are quite leisurely. Vedanta has to enter into every aspect of life. We generally compartmentalize our life. This is a spiritual life, and this is a professional life, and this is a whatever. So that fictitious differences, compartmentalizations will have to go. It's speaking about you in different roles. And when it speaks about you can't compartmentalize yourself, because it gives us you can say, later on it might turn out to be a kind of multiple personalities. We mold our behavior accordingly, and that creates a big problem later on. So again, Swami Vivekananda says, is Vedanta the result of exclusive meditations? No. It can be applied in this workaday world. Otherwise, what's the point in having a philosophy that's practical and we can access it only in deep meditation? It might be practical for a few people, but the generality of people are working people, and this philosophy should go down and help them. When you look around this world, you see, where is God? There is no clue at all, because we are not looking very closely. If you study this very universe, or any aspect of the universe, or even a small part of it, you will get the knowledge of the whole. Study an atom, when you will get the knowledge of all the atoms in the world. Study anything, a flower or a grain of sand or anything. Keep on studying it. So this is the first inkling you get, that there is something more to every part that constitutes this universe than it's apparent. So knowledge of one gives you the knowledge of the many. Yet this mind wants to see something tangible and solid. Where is that God or divinity? Vedanta says it is preaching a known God, not an unknown God. It's not a God that's sitting there somewhere in the clouds, somewhere in the skies, or somewhere hidden from you. It is preaching a known God. And what is more known to us than your own individuality? Seek it there. Secondly, it does not dismiss the external world as something which is like a chimera, a kind of an illusion. It is the divinization of life and the divinization of the world. This, where are you searching for God? Here. Swami Vivekananda, one time, he was sitting under a mango tree. That mango tree still exists. Somehow it's been propped up And he was sitting down. It was hot, and there were a few disciples standing around. Swamiji was speaking. Then he sees his brother disciple going to perform worship in the temple, in the shrine up there. And his brother monk saying, yeah, sir, it's time for worship. And he needed some help also. And Swami Vivekananda got furious, saying, where will you go to seek Brahman? Here it is, here. And he said it with such conviction as a force. All those who were standing there had the perception of this Brahman. Here it is, here it is, here it is. And they were in a kind of a trance state, transfixed. Then after a while, when the mind descended down, he tells his brother disciple, okay, go and do their worship. So this very world, he gave them a glimpse, is a form of divinity. And we have been exploiting it. We have been, as we know what the dangers are now. And the external nature is hitting us back. But if we understand that this external world is an extended part of ourselves, then we are going to take care of it. So this division, false divisions are going to go down. It's here, it's known. Start worshipping this. There are two tendencies in human beings. One is you drag the ideal down to the actual, to the real, to you. That is compromise. You've got to compromise many things. The other is to raise yourself to the ideal. That is the Vedanta way. You don't expect Vedanta to conform to you, to all your sometimes peculiarities. No. You have to give up many things and then raise yourself up. If we can do that, that's practicality. Okay. Swami Vivekananda says, the old religion said, he is an atheist who does not believe in God. The new religion says, he or she is an atheist who does not believe in himself or herself. So this is important. Where is that faith in us? If we can have that tremendous faith, and he says, I feel my faith even growing. In the Bible it said, faith even like the mustard seed. It will grow up. It can move mountains. This is the faith that we need. Why? Because when you base your faith on something real, that Vedanta says that you are divine. Now base your faith on that. Oh, I'm weak, I'm slow, I'm lazy, and this, I'm no good. That kind of thinking will take you away from your own self. When all religions and philosophies, they speak about always morality. But Vedanta is very clear. It's saying it is unselfishness alone that is the basis of morality. And unselfishness also is nothing but a form of sacrifice, renunciation. So every time you give part of yourself away, that is, you sacrifice your time, your energy, or whatever to others, that is putting morality or Vedanta into practice. You don't need commandments to tell you this, to be unselfish. Because your real nature is unselfishness. The whole world is teaching us, you got to be unselfish. Things are coming in, going out. It does not belong to anyone. It belongs to common existence. So we can remember that the highest morality is equated with the highest sacrifice, and the highest sacrifice is equated with highest renunciation. And this renunciation is always based on unselfishness. The more narrow we become, the more weak we become. The more unselfish we are, the more powerful we become. Powerful in the sense not a destructive type. People always equate power with some destruction or this and that. We also have something like, we all want, human beings, you say it's rational and this and that. That's only a small part of it. They haven't understood a human being. I mean the ordinary human being. We are very symbolic. We bring out language which is symbols. We think in symbols. We bring out myths and stories and etc. We are constantly churning out. So Vedanta says, why do you need to have images and temples and places of worship and all? These are symbols, yeah. But the greatest symbol is this, a human being. That's what the person is symbolizing what? That divinity. And then this whole world is a symbol. What does it signify? Again, that divinity. Because symbols are nothing but signifying signs. There is a meaning behind a symbol. People have been fighting over these symbols, and religion has been churning out these symbols over and over for thousands of years. And people have been fighting over the symbols, not understanding its real meaning. So Vedanta says the human being is the greatest symbol of what? Of God. Yes. Why do you have to run about here and there? The universe itself is a symbol. The entire universe? Yes, the entire universe, not just the world. Because this world is such a small place. There's something called, I remember when I was young, I watched Carl Sagan's, Cosmos series. And then, the Viking, you can say, unmanned crafts was leaving the solar system. Or it had gone quite a distance, and it turned and took a picture, last picture of the Earth. And that was a small blue dot hanging tenuously in space. It's one of the most beautiful photographs I've seen. This is what, it's a small place. And imagine our lives on that small blue dot. And everything that we ever thought, dreamed, everything is there in that small place. So extend the idea of the symbol, make it into the universe, and then here it is, the universal symbol of God. So this is the highest symbol, is the human being. And serving a human being is worship then. You don't need to have all those, high ritualistic mantras and etc., etc. And Swami Vivekananda based his entire philosophy of service on this very principle. In fact, that was the basis of starting this order of the Ramakrishna Mission, where you got to worship everybody as that divinity. Vedanta, however, does not preach any personalities. It is impersonal. Now, it's impersonal in the sense, according to Vedanta, all personalities are included in that impersonality. So people say, I'm lonely, I'm alone. What? You are part of that great personality. Every personality that's living. Not only human, but everything has a personality. They are all included. And Vedanta says from the creator, God, till a clump of grass, all have their being in that impersonality. So impersonality is not something sterile or something dry or a kind of a vacuum, people think. It includes all the personalities. So we are nothing but that manifestations of that great principle. Because if it sticks to one personality, then again it will become fanatical. Only this and not anything else. Why do you have to bother about that? So everything is included in this. Divine, semi-divine, quasi-divine, whatever you like to call it. Everything. So it makes everything important, and not only that, significant. So your life will now have a meaning. This is what, people search, what is the meaning of life? We can take that up some other time. So is this the time for Vedanta? Oh yes, this is the time for Vedanta. We have accumulated all that knowledge, maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 generations over and over. Yeah, it's because Vedanta is very clear. It has spoken always and insisted upon the oneness of all life. All life has risen from one source. There is no difference between this, me and you and even the tree. On the fundamental level, there is. So all life has sprung from this, and it speaks about its oneness. And today, all branches of knowledge acknowledge that there is something called the oneness of all life. Even from the standpoint of ordinary matter, it's a oneness of every way. To search that unity, that connecting thread between everything is the duty of Vedanta. And in the Bhagavad Gita is saying, Sutre Manigana Yuva. I am like that thread that runs through all the pearls. So that oneness of life is what makes Vedanta very practical. We are not worshipping something which is distinct and different from us. Oh, this is a supernatural being, and I have to worship that. Why? Because I'm quaking that my destiny is in that supernatural being's hands. So it has dismissed that. Oh no, your destiny is in your hands. And Swami Vivekananda says, you are the creator of your own destiny. If you look at it from that side, there is no one responsible for your destiny. You are. No supernatural being has said, okay, you are in my hands. You are a plaything in my hands. In the old Greek myths and all these great titans, those beings, and how the gods used to play one against the other. No one is playing one against the other. We are all having our own life and our own destiny in our own hands to work out our own divinity out. Vedanta has always insisted that it comes in whenever religion seems to be on its last legs, saying when irreligion increases, then Vedanta steps in. It has always been there. And today, this is the time when all the old religions are facing a kind of frontal attack from all sides. I mean, frontal from all sides. Coming. Because it has clung to certain archaic, ancient things and has not moved along with the times. And today's modern generation finds no use in all those things now. And they are questioning it. And if you question it, you're told, don't question it. Well, The modern world wants to question, wants to find answers. And Vedanta says, yeah, you keep on questioning your own existence. Go and ask yourself. This is a source of your own, you can say, answers. You, yourself. You are that authority. You are the questioner. You will answer your own questions. Vedanta is like a backdrop to it. This is what you need to find out. Your own existence. Completely independent, yet part of the whole. Your destiny and everything is linked with everyone's and everything's destiny. So to take care of yourself and the others is your first responsibility. We're talking about Vedanta, its practicality. Actually, Vedanta keeps on insisting upon responsibility. This could be also Vedanta, its responsibility. You're responsible to yourself and to everything and everybody around you. That's not my business. Yeah, it is your business. So this Vedanta steps in whenever you have a kind of a crisis of faith, saying, I mentioned when Buddha came, there was that huge, you can say, rebellion against established religion of the Vedas. He came and tweaked the whole system. He made everything practical. In this age, and of course Shankaracharya, he came in when the whole of the Buddhistic superstructure was crumbling. He came and saved the day. In this age, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother and Swami Vivekananda have come to gather up the pieces. We've been fragmenting all over the place, to collect the pieces and show us the way out. And this is the practicality. Their teachings have made Vedanta practical, accessible to everybody. No need to spend all your time in studying. You spend your time in practicing. And the practice starts with, as I said, first you have to have faith in yourself. If that is missing, the entire thing collapses. So slowly we come to this idea that it has been practical, it is preaching a known God. And then we can take the next steps up slowly and slowly. This is how we proceed to make ourselves Vedantish. As I said, Vedanta means the culmination of the Vedas. And Vedas are the supersensuous knowledge that was intuited, realized by these ancient sages. Every hymn and every mantra has the name of these sages. And how did they get it? By purification through intense spiritual practices. Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother is saying, in this age you will not be able to do what they did. Impossible. This is the age of work. You can see everybody, there's one mantra everybody is kind of repeating, I have no time. I'm busy. I have no time. I'm busy. This is the age of work. And you're going to get everything through work. And that's why Vedanta has come to kind of bolster your field of work. You got to do this, you can do this. And now you can understand the meaning of why it was the finest points of Vedanta were declared on the battlefield. Here it can be implemented here. So the opening salvos, as I say, of Krishna's message to Arjuna, the battle first, he tried to instill in him the ideas of his own immortality, his own infinitude, his own eternality, and his own, you can say, supreme state of consciousness. And with that, equipped with that knowledge, then he went and fought. So I also said that for the last 4,000 years, Vedanta has been trying to build up a society on these principles. It has succeeded in certain areas only. And for thousands of years, that Vedanta had been cultured, nurtured, protected by the whole host of sages. Yes, sometimes it's staggering to just comprehend. Thousands of years, these sages have held on to this knowledge, and later on it became very exclusive. It was meant only for sages. You're a sage? Yeah. You've got to be a sage to get into this. So it became a secret doctrine. It became what is called, in Vedanta is called rahasya, that is secret. It's a mystic knowledge. And everybody were, the riffraff were kept away from it. They would tell, oh, you don't have that kind of one-pointedness, you don't have that kind of strength, and you don't have that kind of capabilities. And the rest of the people kept on believing that. I said, Vivekananda and Mother and Ramakrishna came and opened the door out. So that which was secret knowledge of Vedanta is now no more a secret at all. It's an open secret. And we are all invited to participate in this. It's a great thing. And if we can succeed in establishing some parts at least of the society based on this super mind, this has been always there, that if you want to base your Vedanta on these principles, you have to take into account that there is a higher aspect of your mind, which there is, and which needs to be opened up. So basing your society and your life on this principle of the higher mind will make Vedanta then current and palpable and everywhere. We hope that this age will bring it out, because this age is bringing out some massive changes. It's changing the ideas of civilization. The ideas of race are undergoing change. The ideas of genders are all undergoing change. Everything is going to. So there is a kind of a unification going on in all societies, whether it's in Asia, Europe, or Africa. These ideas are now becoming more and more dominant. This is what Vedanta was wanting for so long, and it is being brought about by the forces of knowledge and human, you can see, work. We hope that this Vedanta will become practical in all lives. Then we can say this is the civilization based, human civilization based on Vedanta. Responsible, compassionate, loving, and taking care of everything. Swami Vivekananda said, gods will be playing and interacting with gods. So Vedanta takes a human being and turns it into a divine being. It reveals that there is that God there within that needs to come out. Om, peace, peace, peace. We open up questions if there are. Those who are viewing it on YouTube could type in their questions. Yeah.
Can you take one teaching of Sri Ramakrishna and then to how to make this practical Vedanta there? Any one teaching.
Oh, the
mapping.
In fact, Swami Vivekananda says, if I ever get a chance, I'll take this teaching and preach it in the world in the future. So Sri Ramakrishna was in that state of, bhava samadhi, and he somebody had quoted. He quoted actually the one of the traditional Indian religions called Vaishnavism. So he's saying compassion for living beings, delight in the name of the Lord, and service of other Vaishnava devotees. And Sri Ramakrishna, he goes into he gets into the higher mood of samadhi, saying, what? Compassion? Compassion for human beings? Who are you? You're a mere worm. Who are you to show compassion? No, serve other human beings as God. So he's saying, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. So when you serve others, have the knowledge that that person in front of you is divinity manifest. Yeah, Shiva Jnane. And that has become the kind of a motto also of our order. Shiva is Shiva, the impersonal, you can say, God. And Jiva is, we all Jivas. So the goal is that Jiva should become Shiva. How can the individual become the universal? You are already a universal. You only have forgotten it. Like I said, you forget that one part. If you study any small part of the universe, you get knowledge of the whole. So every one of us is that small part, but containing the whole. So that is why saying, so Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. So when you serve others with the knowledge that this is that impersonal God. And in Vedanta, it's all over the place. In Bhagavad Gita and all, his hands and feet and legs and everything is his heads and arms. And from the earliest sections of the Vedas, the Purusha Sukta is there, that God is shown as having all these multiple heads and arms and legs and all. Does God have? Yes, we are all parts of that God. That's what it was saying. Okay. Okay, we'll take within this lens of oneness of the knowledge, how to address a distinction or difference in terms of individual experience of the external world. Of course, there will be a distinction and difference in terms of individual experience. But who's the experiencer? You're talking about experience. Who's the experiencer? Study the experiencer, and you'll have to study consciousness. And you will find that consciousness which is in me, cannot be exclusively in me only. It has to be in everything. And then you'll find, oh my God, the experiencer is that consciousness. And it is necessary for experiences to be different because of the variety out there. But remember always that the one has become the many. That's a principle of Advaita Vedanta. One has become the many. And you see, it's a beautiful, you can say, existence, isn't it? Not monotonous. And everybody is so unique. There's no two similar things. No two similar snowflakes, no two similar grains of sand, no two similar raindrops. Nothing is. So it enriches us. So find out who's the experiencer, and there you'll find. Okay. Please mention three things that can be practiced daily and are easy based on Vedanta. Ha! Please, after the whole thing has been Swami Vivekananda always saying, have faith in yourself. That is the beginning. We're talking about faith in books or doctrines or philosophies. I'm not talking about these things. Have faith in yourself. And if you have, it's like, as I say, that mountains will crumble before your will. Have that sort of energy, have that sort of attitude, and then everything will go. Secondly, don't kind of berate yourself, or don't try to demean yourself, don't try to lower your own self. Because the Bhagavad Gita says, raise yourself by yourself. Don't discard yourself. For your mind is your own friend, and your mind is your own enemy. So make your mind your own friend. Okay. 3 things. Do you think faith, practice, and study all serve to open one's life? Yes, of course. In fact, if you have one, you can do it. In continuing debates between the objective reality of the natural world and the prevailing inequities among people and communities being explored in humanities and social science, especially in continuing debates between the objective realities of natural world and the prevailing inequities among people and communities being explored. So you've got to see what underlies all groups of people, inequality. See, what happens is, for so long, it was, religion also started as a kind of a tribal religions, clannish religions, and all these things spread slowly over the world, and it held kind of an exclusive claim that you want salvation, you come to us, and that was that. So all those things are going away. But in social life, you must understand that I was speaking about the oneness of all life. If you understand that there's at the background, each and every living organism is an extension of myself, where's the question of inequalities coming? The inequalities will be on the surface of things. If you see the waves, there will be different waves, but all contain that same water. Everything has water, because there's water, because there's the Pacific Ocean, you have waves. Imagine if there was no water and you have only waves. So look at the background of all these groups and everything, whatever you're mentioning, communities, etc. And you can understand that there is one common humanity. When the moment you say humanity, exploring humanity and social sciences, see what happens is, if you really believe in this humanities and social sciences, they are speaking about the humanity in general. Look at that and use your own brains to see where there's divisiveness. And if there's divisiveness, let it go. Go for the principles of humanity and existence. Kindly note my question is divided here. Oh. I was wondering. Okay. I hope I gave you 2 divided answers, which are one. Okay, I think rest is only hello. Yeah.
Sort of, kind of poking on sort of how to make things practical for oneself, right? I feel like, there's all sorts of, positive and negative energies that exist, and kind of being cognizant of that, I think, kind of maybe helps to navigate it.
Yeah.
But practically speaking, how do you manage kind of not getting kind of off path and drawn to kind of negative, let's say, energies versus trying to maintain your own sort of positivity?
Yeah, you see, we say negative and positive, just kind of energy is just energy. Yeah, it has no positive or negatives. But then, of course, we have the positive and negative poles and all. But energy is just energy. How you can maneuver around these things? Just be honest. That is the best way. And nothing can take you down. Just be honest first to yourself, and then to be you. The moment you are honest with yourself and with the people, you become your authentic self. So your negative and positive things, your elation and your kind of depression will not just going to take you off. So just be that. I think that is what is the age old, ancient, you can say, solution to all our problems. And yeah, I think that's we can then, if we have done it here, I think we can for, as I mentioned, on Wednesday 7 p.m. and Friday 7 p.m. we have the classes on the gospel as well as the householder devotees of Ramakrishna. And Sunday usual is 10 a.m. talk. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Whatever we have done is offered to Sri Ram Krishna here. May he fulfill us. Any